Today, I messed up by not being able to explain to my wife the existence of a dress that wasn't hers in the wash. Friends, my marriage was on the edge of a knife just now. Story time. My wife, a 40-year-old woman, came into the bedroom with an unknown dress that she found in the dryer. She asked, "Where did this dress come from?" Mystified, I said, "It's not yours? I know my own dresses." At this point, she's making light, but there is smoldering anger behind those brown eyes, and I knew I was legitimately in danger. I have no idea. At this point, I'm scrambling to come up with anything that doesn't look like I'm cheating. Because even I realize that despite being innocent, this doesn't look good, and I'm in trouble. I have no idea where the dress is from. Stalling for time, I ask what size it is. A dumb fricking question. Not her size. Frickety frick. Alas, it was way too small for me while being too large for her. More scrambling, and I say, maybe it was from daycare and got sent back with my kid, a 3-year-old boy's, dirty clothes. A long stretch, but I'm painfully aware that the longer this mystery goes on, the more screwed I am. No one has stayed at our house in the last 2 years. The whole time I'm thinking crap. I suggest maybe someone is sabotaging me. It sounded stupid the moment I said it, but I mean, what the frick is happening? I then say, "It's kinda nice, maybe you should try it on." Please, nobody ever take advice from me, ever. Her eyes are beginning to promise my horrible death despite still seeming amused. But don't be fooled, the Reaper was at my door. I'm literally sweating at this point and trying to keep it light-hearted, and it's becoming more and more difficult. Has my dryer wormholed into another person's house in some twisted cosmic joke? Anything is possible now. My wife is losing her humor by the nanosecond as I stare dumbly at this goddamn dress. I'm at a complete loss, and then a revelation comes to me in my moments of need. An epiphany for the ages. A memory to redeem every forgotten thing my notoriously bad memory has forgotten over the years on the daily. I say, "Was it with that skirt my mom gave you?" My wife showed visible relief as she checked her phone. Sure enough, there's a picture of the dress in her messages of the items of clothing my mum gave her. High five, brain. My marriage was saved to screw up another day. In short, an unknown dress materialized in the dryer, and neither my wife nor I had any explanation for it. This did not reflect well on me, to say the least. Eventually, we figured it out, and my marriage didn't crash and burn. Glad that we figured that one out in the end. Good save on you for having a better memory than your wife about the clothes that she got from someone else. Craziness. Isn't the norm for finding out about your partner's affairs happening to see a pair of panties or undies in the dryer? Which is wild because it implies that the naughty outside party is just walking around commando after doing the deed. But also, to find a full frock just left behind suggests either an advanced level of planning for a fling, or that someone else left the house more or less undressed and just took off down the road. Which is hilarious, but highly unlikely. I fully sympathize with the author's blind panic, muting him into being unable to present any of the other scenarios that could have teleported the item of clothing into their dryer. Ultimately, this is funny, and I'm sure you guys were able to laugh it off afterwards. Good job, Mum. Your charity nearly got your son into very hot water. Nice to see that you can still potentially inflict that on him without him even living under the same roof. Next time he forgets your birthday, why don't you go around with another sneaky donation and give him a couple more tense run-ins? Am I the jerk for using my neighbor's trash for my dog's number 2s? I take my dog for walks daily around my residential neighborhood. Normally, he does his business fairly early on, and I always dispose of it in a nearby trash bin. However, today he decided to go a bit later into the walk. Given that there were no trash bins anywhere close by, I was resigned to holding on to his crap, tightly sealed in a plastic doo-doo bag. That was until I saw one of the houses on the street I was on had their garbage bin located roughly halfway down their driveway, off to the side. It was right out in the open, about 10 feet from the sidewalk. Without thinking much of it, I walked into the driveway, opened the bin, and tossed the bag of doo-doo inside. When I returned to the sidewalk, a man who'd been walking nearby approached me. It turns out he was the owner of the house, and he did not look happy. He said, "Hey, don't you ever do that again, you understand me?" I was taken aback, not realizing that I might have done something wrong. People walk further onto properties to deliver spam mail or solicit all the time, and I hadn't considered that people might have a problem with what I did. Also, if it matters, these bins are public property, belonging to the city. I had no intention of being out of line, nor of causing a conflict. I simply said, "Okay," and went on my way. But the incident is sticking with me. I wouldn't have a problem if someone did the same to my bin, if I chose to put it in that sort of location. But maybe that's just me. Plus, I keep my bins directly beside my house. That being said, I don't want to be a crap person or neighbor, so please tell me, am I the jerk? You, sir or madam, are the jerk here, but not the worst kind. I didn't see too much wrong with this until I perused the comments a little bit and got myself educated. Your offense, by and large, comes down to trespassing on people's property and the small to moderate probability that your bag of number 2 can quite easily split open in the bin and spread its signature scent into the residents' trash, which they will often bring back into closer proximity to their house. One warm summer's day later, and the fragrance of your gift will now be a much less welcome guest in their vicinity. People shared stories of having to get in the bin and scrub the offending stains out by hand, or of their garbage getting rejected by the collection companies for the contents and having to fish it out themselves. So you're not a complete intentional jerk, you just didn't really think it through, and now you, and the rest of us, have been educated. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, linked below. Also, go to amithejerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. Entitled mother and her daughter wear a white dress to my sister's wedding. My sister, aka the bride, got married yesterday. Yay! However, the groom's aunt, Karen, a 50-ish female, was not a very pleasant guest. A little over a week ago, the bride got a text from Karen asking if her little girl, 8-year-old, could be the flower girl. The bride and groom have been engaged for over a year, and they asked the groom's niece, a 2-year-old girl, to be the flower girl way back then. Karen and little girl live super far away from groom's family, so they've only met the couple twice in little girl's life. Groom's niece, however, is very close to my sister and her uncle. My sister was a little teed off that some woman she barely knows asked her to change her flower girl a week before her wedding, but was worried about looking like the bad guy. I just told her to say, "Sorry, too late," and that's what she did. A few days later, bride gets another text from Karen saying that she brought the little girl her dress, and she's just so excited. The picture attached shows little girl wearing a white dress. Not a dress with white on it, no. Complete white dress with lace at the top and a white bow around the waist. Trashy, but not the girl's fault. The bride went from teed off to fairly irritated at this point. But she doesn't want to look like the bad guy or make a bad impression on her in-laws. Then comes the wedding day. We already knew that little girl would be in white and that her mum was rude, so let's just ignore them. But oh boy, we were not expecting Karen to be wearing a white lace dress as well. A grown woman, in her 50s, not only demanding her kid be in the wedding a week before the big day and buying her a white dress, but also wearing a white lace dress herself. It's different if you genuinely don't know and then apologize for sure. But Karen was a grown woman who has been to many weddings, including her own. The audacity of this witch aside, everything went smoothly. Karen was drunk very early on, so she probably didn't care. She kept asking if the kids could throw any leftover petals after the wedding. The little girl asked the professional photographer to take pictures of her. I offered to accidentally spill red wine on her, but my sister said she was content with watching everyone else at the reception ignore Karen and talk crap about her. In short, groom's aunt is mad that her kid isn't the flower girl and they both wear white dresses to my sister's wedding. Oh, I also forgot to mention that instead of sitting quietly with everyone else during the ceremony, Karen was off to the side taking pictures of little girl posing next to a tree. Then at the end of the ceremony, as we were walking back up the aisle, Little girl was standing in the middle and didn't move for the couple or the procession behind her. My sister and her husband walked around her, but the cousin I was walking with made her move aside. People have floated the idea of having the photographer change the color of the aunt and niece's dresses, then make sure they're posted on the internet. That is a fantastic idea. Even if the photographer can't, I'm sure we can find someone who's savvy enough with Photoshop to do the job. I wonder which color doesn't suit Karen the most. Yeah, this seems like a pretty massive self-own by the woman in white. Despite what the author says about her surely knowing about the faux pas of wearing a white dress at a wedding, it kinda feels like she might be completely oblivious. So maybe there's a degree of ignorance here. At least she warned you of her oncoming transgression, even if it did get multiplied from a child-sized problem to a grown woman-sized one. Also, it's unclear if the lady in question is actually called Karen or not. Kinda perfect if that is the case. As usual, we'll give our blanket pardon to the kid. But that young'un is in trouble if her mum is her only main role model growing up. Reasons like this is why it can be helpful to rebel against your parents, children. And let's give a big hand to the bride for being about as patient and level-headed as someone can be during this sort of indignity. Way to take the high road and be classy. Often, that's your best revenge, as it clearly seems like even if she didn't acknowledge Karen's bad choice, the other guests certainly did, and probably noticed the bride's lack of comment as well, which made the lady of the hour appear even more saintly by comparison. Oh, you want me to apply to another team? You've got it! This happened a few years ago. I'm a data analyst and have too many STEM degrees to count. I work at a big bank where the only thing that matters is years of experience. It doesn't matter if you have a PhD or a bachelor's, they both mean the same thing. I came in as an entry-level 28-year-old because I got so many degrees. I was doing so much better than an entry-level analyst that once my minimum year's experience hit, I told my director I wanted $80K or I'm going to apply to another team. He told me that there was no way I was going to get $80K from any team. I asked him if he could just ask HR because I didn't really want to change teams, but I was going to get as much money as I thought I deserved. After I asked him, he said, "I'm not going to ask HR because I know 100% that you're not going to get paid that much no matter what. If you want to waste time applying to other teams just to be told the exact same thing, then go ahead, pal." I applied to another team in the same department the same day. This was Monday. On Wednesday, I got called by the director of that team for an interview, and I got an offer on Thursday. The offer was for $92K. I instantly accepted it and told my current director that I got an offer and had accepted it. He got so mad at me and asked me why I'd apply and accept a position without telling him. I said, "You told me to." After 2 weeks, I started my new position on my new team and I got a call from my old VP. He asked me why I left without letting him or my old director counteroffer. I told him what happened and he was shocked. He told me they would have counteroffered for me on the spot. It turns out my old director never thought I would leave. Joke's on him. Right then, I knew it was a great decision to leave the team. If he had the option the entire time to counter and just gave me the raise and chose not to, then I don't want to be on that team anyway. Thank you for all the support and words of encouragement about leaving jobs. It was actually a lot harder than I thought it would be. I loved that team, but I knew what I was worth, and they wouldn't give it to me, even though it turns out they could have. And it just so happens to have been one of the best career choices of my life. Since then, I've talked to so many people about career moves, and it seems that if you aren't getting progression at your company, then there are almost zero reasons to stay. I've been asked about or pointed out that I should have been able to list my degrees, and too many to count is not possible. That's very true, I was just exaggerating and being lazy. For those who wanted them, I have a BS in mathematics, a BS in education, BS in computer science with a concentration in cybersecurity, a master's in theoretical mathematics, master's in data analytics, and currently I'm finishing up my master's in data science. Cripes. Textbook example of managerial incompetence in your old director there. The author never mentioned what his old salary was, but $92K is massive compared to almost any entry-level salaries in any profession. And if your boss really thought that loyalty alone would be enough to keep you around, he was due a wake-up call. In the vast majority of cases, when it comes to employment, only be loyal to your paycheck. because no matter what they tell you, they will drop you the moment you start to be even moderately inconvenient to them. So yeah, your old boss is a bit of a jerk and just kind of terrible at his job for reading that situation so poorly. You were overqualified. It sounds like you were terrific at your entry-level position and you were in a massive demand from other parts of the bank. And look, people make mistakes, but once you called his bluff, he still had a chance to fix the situation. Maybe by meeting the minimum offer that you'd asked for in the first place to keep you with the team you wanted. And it sounds like your VP would have been happy to do so. Literally avoided a situation where all parties could have been content just by being stiff-necked and unwilling to try to find a solution. Insanity. Am I the jerk for throwing out my husband's dinner after he went to eat at his mum's house? My mother-in-law calls every night to ask what we're having for dinner. Then she brags about what she's cooking to make me look bad, especially if we're getting takeout. I used to care, but not anymore. But my husband would ask me to make dinner only for him to go and eat the dinner his mum makes at her home, which is 10 minutes away, and using the "that's my favorite meal" excuse. Yesterday, I wanted to surprise him by cooking one of his favorite meals, and although I was busy, I took time off work to cook. I even went grocery shopping to get what I needed. Later, as I was setting the table, his mum called. I told him that he didn't have to answer, but he did. Like usual, she asked what we were having, but acted surprised that I cooked his meal. She then went on to tell him that she cooked X meal and told him to come over, to which he said, okay, which shocked me. I said, seriously? As he started dressing up, getting ready to leave. He told me, no offense, but this meal, that his mum cooked, was even more of a favorite than the one I'd cooked. He grabbed his keys and left. I felt awful. I took his plate and threw it out, and then I ate my portion. As I was about to put the plate in the dishwasher, he got home looking angry, saying his mum lied about cooking that favorite meal and used it as an excuse to force him to eat dinner with her. I was shocked, but he sat down telling me to go ahead and reheat dinner. I told him no dinner after he abandoned it and that I'd thrown it out. He said, what? And I told him he disrespected my time and effort and chose to go eat with his mum instead. He began yelling at me, asking if I really did that, then he called me petty and horrible and went upstairs, saying that what I did was 100 times worse than what his mum had done. I definitely feel like I let my anger and frustration get the best of me, but it really felt unbearable having to live like this for so long. By the way, I'm 26 and he's 28. And an update to make one thing clear, that's the fact that my husband only does this when it comes to food. He lived with his mum and attended community college and loved and still loves her food and is used to it. She gave me recipes to make and I try to do that, but he keeps switching homes just to eat what he feels like. So, am I the jerk? I wrote my situation here on the website almost 24 hours ago and haven't really read every single answer because, wow, there's just too many. I just want to let you know that I will be sitting down with my husband soon. After he breaks the silence, I'm just giving him the space he said he wanted, and I'm going to show him this post in the hopes he sees how none of this was my fault. I'll also be pushing for couples counseling, although he's always been against it, but we'll see how things go. I'm not gonna lie, I still feel upset and like my efforts aren't being appreciated. His mum is definitely up to something with her little upsetting stunts. Though she's not outright rude or anything, the small things she does kind of irritate me. I realize how important boundaries are, but I also realize how enforcing a ban can be difficult. I'm hoping and praying that we'll tackle this issue so that our marriage won't suffer. But if he's still somehow unable to do his part, then that's on him, and I'm no longer willing to go through similar stuff and just take it, you know? Yeah, you aren't the jerk here. He's definitely a man-child at best, and a bit of a jerk at worst. Disregarding the effort that your spouse goes through to make you happy, especially something like going out of their way to do something that you've told them you love, only to bail at a moment's notice is such a massive disrespect. Frankly, couples therapy might be a very good thing if you get him to agree to it. Although, to be honest, from the other people like this I know, I can't see him taking any criticism of his relationship with his mother very well at all. Your mother-in-law is kind of a piece of work too, but ultimately the repeated offense of sprinting out of the house like a cartoon character the moment his favorite treat is put on the horizon is up to him. Once was definitely too many times for this to happen, and avoiding the problem for so long probably hasn't done anyone any favors either. I honestly don't know how to deal with the idea of a spouse's mother calling to offer comment and critique on whatever meal I happen to be making for them that evening. Even just thinking about that actually kinda makes me angry. The author clearly has the patience of a saint, but has let the whole game run on too long, and needs to take steps to address the issue, which she seems to be doing. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. Put the playlist on in the background to finish listening to all the stories. Or if you want to check out some great music, check out easymode.com. If you like Am I the Jerk, give Am I the Genius a shot. Everything linked in the description.